if you caught the 1 hour special that I put out for GTII, then you'll know what I mean when I say that we got the downside we were looking for. Let's go ahead and see what the potentials are for the coming sessions. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by. Once again, this is ARCa coming at you with a GTII technicals, raw price action, and statistical threat of analysis on this happy Monday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, you guys, so yes, we are looking at GTII here on the weekly time frame, and we had already seen the potential of dropping back down to test our support from this ascending channel that we have on the weekly time frame, right? So we actually spoke about this on Friday on the live stream, and we said that it was a high potential that we can touch the area of about $1.56. In fact, we actually went right at that target. So, of course, this is a little bit of a dangerous situation because when we do have a candle this bearish and it does have nothing, I mean, it hasn't returned anything from which it's already lost, right? Yeah, it hasn't gone back anything from what it lost is what I'm trying to say. There could be a little bit of a continuation to the downside, but that's why we have some secondary strong supports, just like this right over here, guys. Please notice this candle here actually got that failure, right? Very likely went to the downside here and then continued onwards and upwards. Okay, so it's things like this can happen all the time, right? So let's go ahead and continue on the analysis here because I do have some very important things to talk to you about. Okay, so first of all, the 3-day volatility versus momentum here, it is starting to show a little bit of weakness, but I can also see that that weakness could be very limited because we do have a regression or a trend line regression here that just so happens to be tested or just so happened to have been tested already twice, right? So very, very likely for us to find another support before a continuation onto the to the upside, just like we did the last time when we were about here, right? We said very likely we can find a support touch like this and continue onwards and upwards. So please go ahead and just look at this iteration here, okay? So, or these few iterations right back here. So the price action was down here at around, 1 cent, 189. We had that first thrust on stochastic momentum, which was likely from here to about here, right? We pulled back. We got that further upside touch, which is this second wave here. The third wave pulled back and then reached a new high right over here, right? And then we pulled back massively. It looked huge, right? But of course, we have that one enormous candle testing the support of our channel here. And then upon this lift, we actually got that massive move to the upside, right? So I just want you to see that we are kind of following that natural ebb and flow, right? We're getting those like a high, a higher high, and it looks like we could potentially be facing another reaccumulation here so we can make another one, right? So of course it's just speculation right now, but as long as we do maintain ourselves within the bullish control zone and above this regression line, then the statistics are technically still on. All right. Not only that is that we're still in a contraction phase, which is part of the criteria that we talked about initially. Anytime that volatility has expanded into critical volatility, which is within the 90 percentile and started a contraction phase from that area, paired with stochastic momentum with an upside pivot, we got that average. We got the average or the statistical mean, right? So that's kind of like what I'm seeing here. Okay, so another thing is very curious that the price action would come all the way back down to a very similar area here to where the triangle was located, right? So it's not perfect, of course, and I'm really not looking at it. I just wanted to kind of put that out there, right? Just say it out loud. So this is, of course, we already talked about this, coming back to the test of the bottom side of this ascending triangle, but I wanted to touch on it one more time because this is the weekly Gaussian channel, right? So we have the mean band we're kind of failing at the present moment, right? But it's okay. We can always fail it and then reclaim it and then stay upside of it. But the reason why I'm pointing this out is because whenever, oftentimes actually that GTII has succeeded that Gaussian channel, an upside thrust of a pretty exponential upside thrust has actually succeeded that to actually break upside of the mean bands, right? So just like, for example, here, right? So we actually got the break above it, started failing it, but testing, and then we got a very nice move to the upside of which was about 700%. Similar situation right over here, right? We actually got that break upside of the bands. We came back down, failed it. We failed it again, even failed it, test, right? We got that final test and then a massive move to the upside of which was around a 750% move, right? So it happened yet again here, right? Upon that failure, then we reclaim it, but in this case, it was about an 84% move to the upside. This was, another iteration right over here that led to about 163% move to the upside. So you get the idea. So usually when we succeed the outside of the mean band from the Gaussian channel, we tend to get a pretty explosive move to the upside. So we're kind of within that realm. And the good part here is for the bulls is that this weekly candle isn't done for 2 days and 20 hours, almost 3 days. So this is, very likely going to find some type of support, right? And then reclaim the inside of this ascending channel and then continue onwards and upwards, right? So let's go ahead and continue on the analysis here. And this is now, please know that we're looking at it in different ways, right? So yes, this is a weekly. This is one way of looking at it, right? So here is another way of looking at it, and I would just like to point out here that 156 level came to be very confluent with the bottom side of this ascending triangle, right? So yet again, we have that test right back here, but this is what we were talking about on Friday anyway. We already kind of saw the potential of coming back down to this area, test this before a bounce, but let's continue validating to see if we have any other potentials here. Okay, so 5-day volatility versus momentum backtest still actually has that upward pivot, and it actually still has a contraction phase happening, and we are still within the bullish control zone of the 5 days. Okay, so next chart. Okay, so this is the area that I would actually like to talk to you about right after I speak about the RSI. Okay, so 30-minute immediate short-term time frame RSI is suggesting a continuation to the downside. In fact, the 6-hour, the 12-hour, and the bi-daily is also suggesting that, right? Alongside those is the 3-day macro time frame, and let's see what the 5-day is saying. So the 5-day is very, very close to potentially finding some type of support, but of course, when we look at the weekly, actually not bad. Yeah, the weekly actually starting to maybe curve over here and potentially going to find that bounce from the gravitational zone down here of the bear weakness percentile. Okay, so this is why I mean that we could potentially see a short-term downside. So the targets that are in my radar are actually particular to these. Okay, so about 150 to about 140 could be an area for us to take a look at before a bounce, right? So what we want to do is actually get the 12 hours momentum oscillator, as far into the oversold percentile as we can before finding a correction and a move to the upside, right? So it may actually be soonish because we're already starting to expand from critical volatility, below the 15 percentile, right? So this contraction with an upside pivot paired with momentum with an upside pivot would be a pretty substantial move to the upside. Okay, so we can always run yet again another back test here, but it looks like the setup may be happening, and this is why I'm saying it. So now if you go back into the 8-hour, critical volatility within the 15 percentile, now expanding, and please look at what's happening here. So we're starting to get that correctional pivot towards the upside, right? So that shows that our downside is very limited. Okay, the 6-hour time frame, same thing here. Critical volatility starting to expand, and we're starting to curve. Okay, so that's already looking good. 4-hour time frame, same deal. Critical volatility, expansion starting, and the curve is coming in, right? So the bi-hourly, very similar situation right over here as well, right? So, but I would honestly prefer looking at the 4-hour, 6, 8, 12, and I don't think the daily has it, right? So yeah, the daily still has that, of course, very large downside here. But as soon as the shorter time frames start to find that actual support, then those would be kind of like the assistance to bringing up the higher time frames upwards, right? So it's not looking very bad whatsoever. Okay, if anything, please remember that the targets that I am kind of eyeballing are within 140 and 150, right? So we'll go ahead and evaluate the price action as we go, and we'll keep an eye on it. Please remember that I still have a few seats left over in the ArcMasters course. Please refer to the link in the description below or the email. Please send me an email and we'll get you situated, okay? We're going to be starting in the second or third week of April, and this is going to be covering everything from the very beginning and the fundamentals of trading all the way up to advanced topics and mathematical concepts. Okay, you guys. So please remember, first and foremost, that I am not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy or sell any assets whatsoever. I need you to do your own due diligence and everything will be cool, okay? So with that said, you guys, I wish you well, a very, very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.